This is the fourth day of this January 2026 Rohatsu Sesshin. So far, we've been reading from the teachings of the Korean master Kusan Sunim. And today, we're going to turn to a different text, a different teacher, Roshi Maurine Stuart, an American teacher whose talks were published after she died in the book Subtle Sound, The Zen Teachings of Maurine Stuart, compiled and edited by Roko Sherry Shayat. Maurine Stuart was one of the first female Zen masters in the United States. According to her biography, she was born in Canada in 1922. And prior to starting Zen practice, she was a very accomplished concert pianist. She was also a mother, and she and her husband had 3 children. And so her teachings situated practice in everyday householder life rather than in a monastic setting. She started practicing in 1966, which was the same year that our center was founded. And interestingly, she did her first sesshin with Yasutani Roshi, who, as you know, was Kaplo Roshi's teacher. For a period of time, she also trained in the Rinzai tradition with Edo Shimano Roshi, and he ordained her as a priest. But then she cut off ties with him when she learned that he had been engaging in sexual relationships with some of his female students. An abuse of power. She eventually became a student of Soan Nakagawa Roshi after that, and in 1982, he authorized her as a teacher. And for many years, she led the Cambridge Buddhist Association in Massachusetts. And she did that all the way up until her death in 1990 at the age of 68. We're going to start with a chapter titled Sesshin Mind, Universal Mind, which is chapter 14. She begins. It is the illusion of having some separate self that keeps us from finding inner peace. When we gather together for sesshin, what we are doing is melting down the illusion of a separate self, melting down the idea that there is something to be pacified. Often people come to Zen practice seeking refuge, seeking a way out of what feels like a very unsatisfactory life. That's certainly how it was for me. Although there are different meanings of the word refuge. One is running for cover, and the other has to do with giving oneself, as in giving oneself to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And as for feelings of dissatisfaction, the tendency is to assign blame for the conditions we find ourselves in, assigning that blame to other people, to events, circumstances, anything that's external to us, as if life is bearing down on us, as if life is something that is happening to us rather than it being us. So here when Maurine speaks of melting down the idea that there's something that needs to be pacified, she's speaking of this pattern of thinking that a lot of us have. In the Mumonkan, there's a koan called Bodhidharma's Mind Pacifying, case number 41. While Bodhidharma was sitting facing the wall, Dazu Huike, who eventually became the second ancestor of Zen, was standing in the snow outside. He cut off his arm and said to Bodhidharma, "Your disciple's mind is not yet at peace. I beg you, my teacher, please give it peace." To which Bodhidharma replied, "Bring your mind here, and I will set it to rest." Huike said, "I have searched for that mind, but I cannot find it." "Then I have put it to rest," said Bodhidharma. Where is this mind that needs to be pacified, to be put to rest? If we were to open up our skull, you'd see a brain. It's a physical thing. It's a squiggly, kind of gray organ. It functions through circuitry and chemistry. It's tangible. But where is the mind? The mind is not the same thing as the brain. How can we feel burdened by something that has no physicality to it? It's a mystery. Maurine Roshi then gets into the nature of why we do this practice and why we go to sesshin. She says, what does the word sesshin mean? The first character, setsu, means to join, to collect, to receive, to transmit, to continue. And shin, of course, means mind. We are not here to just collect our minds. This is not just a time for us to receive something, to transmit something just for us. It is a time for us to join our minds to the mind of the universe. We are expanding into and realizing this unity of mind with the whole universe. Sesshin also means fasting, becoming poor in spirit, letting go of everything, not grasping, not panting after anything. Just doing what needs to be done step by step. Our zazen during sesshin gets stronger, clearer, more alive, more dynamic every day if we let go of our ideas of gaining and our judgmental attitudes about whether or not we are doing well. Gain and loss and right and wrong, once and for all, get rid of them. Although, to be clear, it's not a problem that such thoughts arise, thoughts of attainment, getting results. It's also not a problem that we find ourselves making judgments, good and bad, right and wrong. It's what we do with those thoughts in the moment we notice it that matters. Thoughts themselves are not a problem because just like the mind, it doesn't have any substance to it. So we have a choice. And it's a choice we must make over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, moment by moment. The choice is to grab onto whatever thought and dwell in it, or to ignore it, drop it, and redirect our attention to our practice. We can't let our guard down. And fortunately, this work gets a lot easier with each passing hour and block of sitting and day of sitting. Thoughts have much less of a hold on us now, and they'll have even less so as time goes on in this sesshin. But it can be very deceiving. Somehow we convince ourselves that, progressively thoughts are gonna disappear day by day by day. Mind's gonna become clearer, 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 clearer. It's not how it works. We have to make peace with thoughts. It's what the brain does. It's part of the circuitry and the chemistry of it. Responding to stimuli. And that is why it's so helpful to keep your eyes down and not introduce any unnecessary stimuli. The other thing is that I know many people here have experienced it. So not only can we talk about progression in practice, there's no such thing, but also, in one moment you could be just battered by thoughts, scatterbrained, or in some kind of fuzzy, cloudy state of confusion. And then the next thing you know, poof, it's gone. How did that happen? It wasn't because you did anything other than returning to your practice, staying with it. I remember I used to get really thrown off by this in the later days of sesshin, because I would tell myself, okay, I'm doing all this sitting, all this yaza. How is it that on, say, day 5, day 6, I'm still getting buried in thoughts? What's wrong with me? I must not be doing this right. Meanwhile, everybody else, they're doing great. Everyone else is flying high, and here I am. Yeah, it took me a while to realize that, that's what the brain does. It produces thoughts. That isn't the problem. The problem is reacting to them, latching on to them. She continues, The conscious mind that we use habitually in everyday life becomes unstable from time to time. We all know this. And unless we have time to connect with this universal mind, our condition doesn't improve. When we take this time, when we immerse ourselves in sesshin after sesshin, we find that we are functioning more surely, more clearly, more joyfully, more energetically in our daily life. And above all, we have a better connection with all human beings with whom we come in contact. When we first start sesshin, we may be very annoyed by something or by somebody's particular way of being. As the days go on, these likes and dislikes melt down. And by the end of 5 or 7 days, there is no more of that judgmental attitude. We can already see this process materializing here at this midpoint in sesshin. The way we sit, walk, work, move about together in this shared space. Day after day, it all flows. And it's something we can feel intimately. The impulse to separate oneself, prioritize oneself, put the self forward, assert it, has faded. It's losing its hold. She goes on, we have made a deep connection which has nothing to do with, is it good? Is it bad? Do I like it? Don't I like it? It goes far beyond that. This is what we taste together here in sesshin. We get rid of the self-centered mind, the competitive mind, the proud mind, the gaining or losing mind. We let go of all of it. During these days, we become really aware of how much we are not being true to ourselves, of what we are carrying around with us, of how much unessential stuff we are holding on to so tightly. This is a practice of fearlessly being who we are. Precisely the person we naturally are. With no affectation, no pretension. It requires a lot of integrity and a lot of humility. If we are true to ourselves in the depths of our being, then we can be true to all other beings. This is a practice of fearlessly being who we are. Our authentic self. And it does require courage and taking risks. It can feel scary and risky to let go of our self-narrative. To the identity that all centers around our likes and dislikes, our haves and have-nots. Also an identity that is grounded in our suffering, our history of pain and trauma. It's hard to let go of that. And yet, none of it defines who we are. None of it limits our possibilities. We need to find a way to let go of constantly telling ourselves, I am this. This is just how I am. As if you're stuck in place. I'm reminded of a conversation with my mother that took place recently over the holidays. I spent some time with her and we got into this conversation about my father, who passed away a couple of years ago at the age of 92. My father had 4 siblings, and he was the youngest. One of his siblings was deaf, my Uncle Anton, and another one of his siblings had Down syndrome, my Aunt Stella. But my father always saw himself as the runt of the litter, as if he had it the worst in life of all his siblings. He would tell the story over and over again about how all he ever got for lunch as a kid was a sweet potato. Every day, that was his lunch. And that all of his clothes and toys were hand-me-downs because he was the youngest. By the way, he grew up in the height of the Depression. And his mother was an immigrant from Poland. And she was very Polish. It is said that complaining is a national sport in Poland. There's some truth. I've traveled there many times, so there's some truth to that. I think it's spread to other parts of the world, too. Anyway, my father clearly was like attached to this narrative of being downtrodden and neglected. Until one weekend, this was while he was still alive, my cousin John, which is my Uncle Anton's son, came to visit. And of course, lots of stories were told. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. And inevitably, my father brings up, his shtick about how rough he had it as a kid. And my cousin just broke out in a big laugh. Because it turns out his father told him that my father was treated very special because he was the youngest. So just the opposite. He was the youngest. He got all the attention. He was the most favored. And I can still picture the look on my father's face as he's taking this in. And then he broke out in this really beautiful, broad smile and just chuckled. It was like he just got busted. But we all have such stories that we tell about ourselves. I'm like this, I'm like that. This is just how it is for me. As if we're unchanging. As if we're a fixed self. And this shows up in sesshin in small ways. Telling yourself, I can't do this, I'm not good at this. I'm a lost cause. I can't do yaza, I'm not ready for that. This sesshin sucks. I can't wait to get to day 7. That's all I care about. That's enough for me if I just make it through. And then on the flip side, there are ways we can take pride in our efforts. I sat up all night. Oh, I'm doing really good in this sesshin. I can feel it. Everything's flowing. I was the first to arrive in the zendo this morning. Look at me. But it's just the clinging to this kind of mental chatter. That's the problem. That's the mistake that we make. Because you get locked into this idea that you're a separate self and this notion that you're narrowly defined in some way. Maurine Roshi continues. Every time we think we have achieved something, or that we have understood something, or that we know what all this means, we just throw it away. During this time together, we are constantly paring down, constantly letting go of these opinions, these fixed thoughts, for or against. And we are committing ourselves to listening, to accepting whatever comes along, rather than closing up or defending ourselves against it. We are participating in a sesshin bath, giving up, letting go, feeling the clarity of what is purifying our minds. Throwing everything away, giving up, holding on to nothing. That's what we're doing. And as the mind settles more and more, we can occasionally find ourselves in a pleasant state, feeling like we hit our stride, feeling more settled. And it's really tempting to try to sustain that, to kind of hang out there. And then we ease off of our practice. The next thing you know, that pleasant state is gone. And then we're wondering, well, what happened to it? Where did it go? How can I get back there? There's nothing to hold on to. We need to practice with equal mind. Through ups and downs, twists and turns. Equal mind. Not holding on to anything. And the way we do that is practicing from right where we are. From here. It can feel like a slippery bar of soap that we're trying to keep in our hand, keeps dropping. That's just how it is. Keep picking it back up. She goes on. Every day we chant the Heart Sutra, the Prajna Paramita. The Heart Sutra is the heart of the matter, the eternal sacred deed, the endless practice. Prajna is intuitive wisdom. Everything is sensed with our intuitive wisdom. Not just thought out in our head. It's our intuitive wisdom that's functioning when we respond spontaneously. Taking action without any thought. Without any hesitation. It's also functioning in the way we harmonize our actions together. Then she says, paramita means gone, gone, gone to the other shore. What does this mean? Not going to some other place, but finding the truth in this very place. Having a change of heart and seeing things from a cleared up, fresh perspective. So this so-called other shore isn't across the ocean or across the pond. It's here. We go to it each time we return our attention to our practice. We go to it each time we return our awareness to this. Just as it is. Purely. Directly. Without the filter of thoughts. Then she says, what is the way? The real way is not difficult. Sozan, Joshu, Nansen, Dogen, Rinzai all say the same thing in different words. The real way is not difficult if we avoid choice and attachment. If we don't try to hold onto things or to fix things into some pattern of our choosing. We are all seeking true peace of mind, but there are no sidetracks, no quick exits, no solutions from the outside. We cannot sit on our cushion or seat and blame our problems on other people or on society. We have to take full responsibility. Sitting here. We have to take full responsibility. And we're doing that right now by sitting here. She continues, in so many koans, monks come to the teacher and ask about the way. What is the way? Shall I search after it? Shall I work hard to get it? Then will I grasp it? If we try to grasp it, we lose it. If we try to say what it is gone. Our need for security binds us and causes us to seek some definition for what is. But this mysterious, unspeakable, indefinable something that we are all experiencing together cannot be put into a mold. This mysterious, unspeakable, indefinable what? What is it? We want to figure it all out. We want an answer. We want to make sense of it. We want to make sense of our life. That's all, that line of thinking is all fueled by the notion that something's lacking and that there's something to gain. And that this something to gain is off in the distance and in the future. We just need to figure out how to get it, how to get there. This is not what we want to hear, but all there is unending practice. That's all there is. There's no arrival point. All there is giving ourselves wholeheartedly to our practice, moment by moment. And not only is that enough, but that's all we can do. We'll stop here and recite the 4 vows.